Hey, how's it going? Okay, this is Juror B29, Maddie, and MSNBC with Al Sharpton. And of course, they really want to know her opinion on this thing with George and his wife. So, I thought it was interesting. So let's take a little listen and we'll talk about it.
Let me ask you this. When you see video like you just see, I mean, does this bother you? Do you think about it since you on that jury?
It hurts. It hurts me a lot. It bothers me because you go right back to the stories where the people, the comments that people say, you could have changed, you could have done, you could have.
So she's talking about all the comments from all the people that she's hearing from today and, since the trial. And you can see she's been really stressed. I mean, she must have gained 40 or 50 pounds since then. And I'm assuming it's because of the stress. She lives in a area that probably was predominantly pro Trayvon, so she's really catching some flack.
And it's going back to making me think more and try to figure out what could I've done. But to be honest with you, the more we think about what I could have done, we're wasting more time.
Right.
So, she's saying these people are trying to figure out what she could have done. What could you have done? There had to have been something you could have done to stop this guy from getting off. That's their opinion, and this is why she can't rest at night. She's just not having a good life, and she's blaming George for it. And you'll hear that here in a second.
I want to know what we should do now. I mean, what could I do to help to change the law? What could I do to change the situation so it doesn't happen to another child?
You got to wonder, whether or not she realizes that if you change the law, that means that she wouldn't be able to defend herself or her husband that's sitting there next to him. Her Could he have defended himself against a thug like Trayvon, who was beating his head into the concrete and trying to kill him?
I have a 20-year-old. I have an 18-year-old. I mean,
Yeah, but did you have a 28-year-old? Remember, George was just 28 years old when he was defending his life. But she can only relate with it with Trevon's family because 18-year-old. If she was 10 years older, she would be relating with George's families. Apparently, at least that's the way I feel.
I have my 13-year-old right now in counseling because he's going through a lot of the struggles of this situation.
So her 13-year-old is in counseling because of this situation. It sounds to me like he's probably, because she came out on TV. Everybody knows that he is the child of this person who let Trayvon Martin's murderer go.
Um, I want to know what I could do to make a difference. I can't continue to give George Zimmerman all that power where he continues and everybody keeps talking about him. Let's talk about what we could do to change.
So at least she's pointing out the fact that all this stuff that the media is doing is just giving him more power. They think that it's hurting him, but in reality, it's just helping him.
To make a difference, to do something, because that's what I want to do.
Now, what do you think you could do? Oh, I know. Bring down the stand your ground law because it's a terrible law. Because, if it didn't exist, then George wouldn't have got off, or George wouldn't have had a gun, and then Trayvon could have killed him, and then Trayvon would be alive and George would be dead. That would be okay in her eyes.
I can't continue to give him, let him be the superstar.
And as you say, deal with the laws and what can be done to make this fair. And I hear in your voice the concern of a mother and the concern of a human being who, like you said, is not a lawyer, that just wants to see what is fair and right for everyone.
What's fair and right for everybody? Well, how about what's fair and right for the guy that's defending his life from a killer? Tell me a 17-year-old can't be a killer, and I'll give you a list of the 17-year-olds that are killers, that are murderers, and have been arrested for murder and are in prison for murder in an adult prison.
Everybody's child, including, I know you had given statements of condolences to the family of Trayvon Martin.
Yeah, but did she give any condolences to George's family? George went through an awful lot. It's like she can't even imagine being the mother of George because they're too close in age.
Yes. I struggle every day. People have, I'm not speaking for the other jurors, but
Right.
my assumption is, everybody has moved on. And I remember the first day that they asked me at the Vote Diary, was this going to be a hardship? No one explained to me that after I left this place, I was not going to be able to have my life back.
Well, you would have had your life back if you would have done what the other four jurors did, and that is stay out of the limelight. Nobody told you you had to go out on TV and open your mouth. See, if you just would have stayed back, you wouldn't have had a problem. But because you brought your face out and you spoke and made this big stink, well, now you've got it. So you have to live with what you built.
And people continue to say, you know, you want your 15 minute of fame. This is not something you want to be famous about.
Well, then why did you bring yourself out? Why? I mean, the jury was completely secret. The judge had locked it down. You made that decision. At least four jurors right now are totally in the dark. Nobody knows about them. Not even their neighbors.
You know, what I am proud of is that I stood by what I decided because it was given to me as it was read to me.
So you're proud that you stood by the verdict, not guilty. You're proud of that, right? Then what's all this? What are you talking about here? I don't get it.
If it was the juror's fault, or if it was the judge's fault, or whoever's fault it was the way the law was written to me, or read to me. So as I continue to keep saying that, I've always said, George Zimmerman is a murderer.
Now, this is where she's just stepped over the boundaries, because if George Zimmerman was a murderer, then how could you acquit him? It makes you out to be an idiot, a complete blithering idiot. You don't have a clue, because how can you say he's guilty of murder, but the law says that I have to let murderers go? Tell me the law that says that. It's the most ridiculous thing. It's obvious that not only doesn't she have a clue about the law, but she's been terribly smashed around in her neighborhood, and even her husband. Look at his face. I mean, he must have been terribly upset about this whole thing.
He killed Trayvon Martin, but only one person knows, and the only person that's going to deal with it is God. I'm a Christian person. I love God, and I believe spiritually, physically, and mentally that this will be taken care of. He's putting himself through more stress. He's putting himself through more shows. And as you see, his anger, which Shellie was expressing that he had anger problems, is showing right now.
So she's saying that he's putting himself through all this. It almost sounds to me like she's saying, if he just would have pled guilty, or if he just would have said, okay, I did it, then this wouldn't be going on. This is the way I feel, and this is what I think she's trying to say. You know, it's typical ignorance of a very, very ignorant person who has a very low education level and a very low common sense level.
And all we could do is let him fall on his own. I mean, you can't do anything else. I mean, we can't. I don't want to sit there and make judgment on anybody else, you know, or be in a situation like this ever again.
Well, maybe that would be a good idea. In fact, I made a video about that and made a suggestion that you never, ever, B29, never be allowed to be on a jury again, because not only doesn't she have a single clue about the law, but she can't even understand what they're saying when they talk about it. You know what I mean? We got two jurors that came out and spoke, her and one other. The other one had a clue. This one, none at all. And Al Sharpton loves it because, well, she's got some pigment and she's clueless.
If you've made it clear about the law and changing the law, and you dealt with, and the jurors dealt with the law, but if you could say something to George Zimmerman tonight, in light of all of these actions and behavior since the trial, if he's watching tonight, what would you say to Mr. Zimmerman?
I really would like to ask George Zimmerman if he's happy.
So that's all she wants to know. And like I was saying earlier, she feels that George Zimmerman put her through this. It's his fault. All the suffering that she's going through now is all George's fault. Are you happy, George? Look what you're doing to all these people.
I mean, are you happy? Because I don't understand how someone could continue to keep a smile like that with all the hurt he has caused.
What smile is she talking about? The smile that he had when he was being dragged into the police car because of Shellie? Is that the one they're talking about? Or maybe the smile that she's talking about when he gets pulled over and every media outlet throughout the world has to show every single time he gets a ticket. Is that what she's talking about? Those smiles? I didn't see him. I think she's got a real problem. And it has nothing to do with George. It's her, it's the media, and it's the government's anti gun people that are trying to push this stuff. So we know it's about guns, we know it's about race, and we've got the racist anti-gun guy here pushing it. So that's I just had to bring all this out, and I really appreciate the guy that pointed it out to me. Talk to you guys later. Bye.